Welcome back to Tee to Green TV. Throughout our entire season this year, you've seen a lot of information that we've tried to disseminate in regards to Balance and Believe. Let's start with the Balance and Believe Academy, which is kind of an offshoot of your foundation.
Yeah. You know, it all kind of goes back to Derek's life and where he ended up, and then what we kind of created from those kind of dark times, which led me to rehab. But it really allowed me to come up with the word balance, you know, and out of the believe part when you're around younger players, younger people, you know, a lot of times girls, self-esteem, self-belief, things like that. So, you know, I kind of thought the name was very fitting. You go to Hazelden for 28 days, you learn a lot about yourself.
Sure.
You know, people, I think, stereotypically want to talk about rehab as a bad thing, you know, if you got problems with alcohol or drugs or, you know, just really personal problems. Everybody has something, you know, and what Hazelden does, in my opinion, is it fixes people. Now, whatever the problem might be, but in that fixing part, I think what you're really striving for is balance. And so, you know, when I got the shot over there at Vitense, when I got back trying to figure out what was going to keep me sober, was really finding this balance, and it just happened to be youth golf. You know, everything that's happened from there is, I'm very humbled and very fortunate. But when we look at a child or we look at a young adult and we learn more about them, you know, through Q&A or, you know, on the golf course, people say a character is often revealed.
It does.
You know, a lot of people want to say it builds character, but I think it reveals character before you can actually build it. So, you know, for me, I took the approach as I don't know as much as other people do, not even close. I actually thought if I could use golf as a platform to help people and sprinkle in a little bit of the mechanics here and there and continue to evolve as an instructor, and I think people have heard me say I think there's a big difference between instruction and teaching, that maybe there's a faster way or an easier way for these kids or younger players, young adults to find peak performance on the golf course. And you know, sometimes I have to get reminded, because I think I get so wrapped up in, you know, how great they're doing as people, that I forget that, you know, over the years here, and we're kind of into our 10th year of Balance and Believe Golf Academy being around, that we've helped a lot of people. But on the golf course, they've also had a ton of success.
But
you know?
if I'm a parent and I want to get my son or my daughter into your academy, what's the process that I have to go to reach out to you to see if perhaps they might qualify to be a student of yours?
Well, I think the first thing, you know, when we kind of look at students is, you know, we'll take pretty much anybody, and we might find out through the first couple of lessons, maybe it's just not a good fit.
Correct.
You know, maybe the expectations, which I think are so critical to manage, not only for parents but for kids, that it just might not be a good fit. For me, the instruction, the teaching, the results is cool, but the cultivating of relationships, which I really do believe is helping us build our sport and grow our sport. We have those kids out there in the different neighborhoods saying, man, you got to get involved in this. And then to have a platform like the foundation down the road for them to get involved in, I think, man, it makes what we do pretty meaningful. But I have to be reminded every once in a while by our members and other people that the results of our academy have been really awesome.
We've only turned on his passion bucket just a little bit, so we're going to continue this discussion in just a moment on Tee to Green TV. Welcome back to Tee to Green TV, our last episode of 2017, and the president, the co-founder, the chief bottle washer of the Balance and Believe Foundation, Derek Schnarr, is really, his passion comes through his veins. It really does, comes through his skin, and hopefully you can feel that on your television set. But talk about the foundation, where it is, and what you see for the future.
Well, I think, you know, the foundation, we had to do something. You know, it can't just be show up, play golf, get some results, and then, you know, kind of wipe our hands clean of it. I really thought that, you know, if we have a collection of young adults who are passionate about a sport, but understand that this day and age, which we've talked about, you know, the youth these days is a little bit different. You know, the word entitled comes up all the time. You've heard a lot of different coaches on Facebook, you know, some of their interviews and stuff talk about, you know, what's happening out there. I thought that, okay, you know, we might not be able to fix a lot of problems, but we can provide an opportunity for our youngsters to get involved with the community, give back in an impactful way. And a lot of times the impactful part, which is sad, is about the money. But we don't want to just write checks. We want the kids to be able to go to a children's hospital. We want them to go to the River Food Pantry. We want them, you know, this thing that Matt Hartman and my wife have done over at Falk, I think, is just amazing. This food pantry / service center where I think we've given $5,000 to $10,000 to them. But allowing, you know, the kids and having the board and listening to my daughter, who's 7 years old now, 8 years old. She keeps reminding me I got to stop saying 7 on TV. But this foundation once was nothing. It was just us going out playing in tournaments, getting the proceeds from the greens fees to try and make a difference, to this Balance and Believe 36, which you know, maybe it's our kind of our signature junior golf development program that's really raising some money. And quite honestly, here we are, last show has worked. You know what I mean? Where we have the kids going out, they're playing golf courses starting at 25 yards, then 50, 75, you know, and I've always thought that our industry is a little bit arrogant in that here's a men's tee, an up tee, a ladies tee, go play, and if you can't make par, this should still be a ton of fun. Well, you know, it's not that much fun. You know, so let's shorten the golf courses, let's tie golf development, meaning a target score, you know, shoot 36 or under, 4 on every hole, 9 times, 36. And then the Balance and Believe Foundation is going to shake the hand of that young junior golfer and say, hey, thanks for helping us raise, you know, $5 to $10 with the help of Callaway and all of our sponsors from the TV show. Allow the kids to give back to something this year, which I think is very near and dear to a lot of us, which is the American Family Children's Hospital down there. And you saw the segment. I mean, here's our very own members, the Reddigs, you know, who've had a son go through what they've gone through down there. To be able to tie that into our junior program is just amazing.
You mentioned the sponsors, and you've seen them throughout. If you've watched our first show or to our last show, our 13th show, you know them by name, hopefully, and you'll remember their commercials, hopefully, as well. But the bottom line is those sponsors have made it possible for us, the us in sitting here, to give more money to the Balance and Believe Foundation. You know, but then we have a future here. I don't know, after today, who knows, we might not have a future. They might go, Van, you know, cut it here. But we're going to change some things in regards to how we are presenting ourselves, correct?
Yeah, you know, I think it's time where we tie everything together. You know, so I think we're going to change the name of this TV show here to, you know, the Balance and Believe Golf Show, and really create a lot of synergy between the academy, the foundation, and how we disseminate information. Which we're learning is no longer these antennas with tinfoil. There's this thing streaming, which is kind of foreign to both of us, but you know, Green Clock Films has been instrumental in teaching us about that, and what we can do to kind of spread the word, get our message out there, and make sure that people really understand there is no foundation without the Sean Clearys and the Bruners, you know, and all of the other sponsors that you see on the credits at the end of the show, and their passion for helping us grow the game of golf, and their, you know, donations or what sponsors or whatever you want to call it, the money that has been funneled towards us, to be then able to give back so that these kids have an opportunity to do it. And you know, when you see an Andy North in the Carbone Center, you know, to get involved in that with our longest day of golf and all these different things that now we're going to be able to do. And I think whether one person watches, 10 people watch, 1,000 people, whatever happens, I think there's a story to be told. You know, I think a lot of people want the Derek Schnarr motivational type thing, and that's okay with me, but I really think it's about our youth, and I think that's where, you know, the golf industry, you know, you heard Dennis Tiziani talk about how encouraged he is about which way we're going with this, but you also heard him mention it's the youth. You know, I happen to think that the female niche is something we got to take a look at too, but this is a way and a vehicle for us to say, hey, you know, look at golf. It's awesome for all these different reasons, whether it's fitness, whether it's you know, developing relationships with other people you're playing with, or you know, getting involved with people like Sean Cleary who think it's important that we continue to do this stuff. Is boy, it means a lot to me. It's very humbling, you know, when we come together and we have money that they want, you know, with you involved. I'm surprised we're not paying them.
Exactly.
Put their name on there, but
you don't have to say that publicly, but
you know,
that's
so
okay.
you know, we have golf, we have the foundation, and you know, and then I guess, you know, if people find my story to be somewhat inspirational, I'm getting to the point where I'm okay with that. You know, I think for years I would deflect it all, but you know, looking at the results that we've had, not only from an academy standpoint, but from a foundation standpoint, I guess maybe it's time to talk about it a little bit.
Your passion is infectious, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I
Thank
really
you
do.
very much for being involved.